What is good, you guys? Welcome back to the airport. Welcome back to a brand new video. In today's video, we're going to be talking about a lot of the things that Heat Twitter has been talking about, but most recently this Heat Raptors game that went to 3 OTs, which we ultimately lost. But a lot of people were talking about Bam's aggressiveness, Tyler's defense, Jimmy Butler in the clutch, who should be the closer of the Miami Heat. A lot of those things we're going to be talking about. So make sure y'all tune in for the whole episode or the whole video. Drop a like, subscribe, and comment down below. Very close to 1700. We're at 1690 as we speak. I have not recorded in a while. I've been busy with college, so I think 5 days. I think the last time I uploaded was 5 days ago. I'm probably going to be uploading once a week, minimum, but if I do have time, twice a week. But as you guys know, man, it gets pretty crazy in university, so I'm trying my best. Great slate of NFL playoff games today as I'm recording this video. The two championship games for each division, each conference was crazy. Shout out to the Bengals and the Bengals and the Rams. So that occupied a lot of my time today, but I will be getting a lot of more videos out to you guys as I get more time freed up. But here's one. So let's get right into it. The Heat Raptors game, it was a classic thriller. It was a great game. Well, obviously not, the Heat fell to a very large deficit from the beginning, and they had to kind of crawl themselves back from a hole, which is kind of rare. It's usually the Heat kind of just go up and kind of blow a lead towards the end, but in this game it was the Raptors who went up by a lot. The first 3 quarters they outscored us, and then the fourth quarter we kind of just we outscored them. In OT, the first and second overtimes, it was tied. In the third overtime, ultimately they came up with the W. The Raptors only played with like a 7-man rotation, 8-man rotation actually, and their starters they all played above 50 minutes, which is ridiculous. And for the Heat, we played with a standard 9-man rotation, and apart from Duncan Robinson, all our starters played 40 minutes plus, and Tyler played 45 minutes off the bench. Now, the reason I'm making this video, because I even put this on Twitter, I've seen a lot of people, and this is not just like a one-time thing. This is like something that has been going on a lot. Well, not this season particularly, because we've been winning a lot this season, but every time the Heat lose, it's always a lot of Heat fans that I'm seeing overreact. And, this is kind of like what I want to emphasize. At the end of the day, even though we lost this game against the Raptors, number one, it was on a back-to-back. And I know I'm not trying to make an excuse for the Heat, because obviously I think we should be able to beat this team. But the fact that it was a back-to-back really does play a big part. Number two, the Heat are still the number 1 seed in the Eastern Conference as we speak. Number three, the Raptors are not a pushover team, even though I think we should have beaten this team. They're still a team that can, they're tough and gritty, and they have guys who, just play with a ton of confidence. Fred VanVleet is playing the best basketball of his career. Siakam is having a great season. Scotty Barnes, Rookie of the Year candidate. OG Anunoby, breakout season. They have a lot of guys on their team. Gary Trent, I really like as well. So their starting lineup has been really, really good for them. They play tough. Nick Nurse is a really good coach. So it's not like we lost to the Pelicans. No disrespect to them, but it's not like we lost to a team like that. We lost to a team that's in the play-in right now and are fighting to be in a playoff position. So we didn't lose to a terrible team. We didn't have Kyle Lowry, and we weren't fully healthy as opposed to the Raptors. So I still think there's a lot of things that we can take away from this game as far as what we can do better. But I don't think people have to start over analyzing this team and saying, because of this loss the Heat are not as good as we thought they would be. Like, nah, it's just one game. We'll be fine. But I do want to talk about a lot of the issues that I've been seeing on Twitter. Let's start off with Hero's defense. A lot of people we're talking about Hero being gone at defensively, which I actually thought that Tyler played pretty solid defense on Fred VanVleet during this, down the stretch. I'm gonna be honest, maybe I missed some defensive lapses from Tyler, but we all know Tyler's not some defensive player of the year type player. He's not some all defensive team type guy, but the only thing that I need Tyler to show is effort. So I think that Tyler's effort levels were fine. The Raptors did an exceptional job. Obviously when you have a lot of good defenders on one team, you're gonna probably go at a guy like Tyler or Duncan or Strus or someone like that if you have a lineup of, you know, PJ, Gabe, Jimmy, Bam, and one of the others like Tyler, Duncan, or Strus, you're gonna try to go at Tyler because he's probably the weakest defender. But I think Tyler really, you know, as far as effort goes, I thought he, you know, did a pretty solid job. He's not the greatest defender, but I think as far as you show effort, I think you'll be fine. So I think that Tyler did, you know, okay defensively. Obviously his shot was not falling, which is another matter. And if a guy's shot is not falling, you can't do much about it. You know, Tyler got some really good looks down the stretch. I still don't really understand why he was not in the game during regulation, during the last play where it was sent to overtime. We did not even get a shot off. That play was, you know, atrocious, where it was just Jimmy dribbling it out for 3 seconds and taking a contested mid-range jumper after the time had expired. I did not like that look whatsoever. Yeah, man, I really think what we have to talk about a lot is the late game execution, but we'll get to that. So I just addressed Tyler's play. I think Tyler had a couple of great looks that could have gone down on any other night. It was just one of those nights, man. The timeout where Gabe made that half-court shot, you can't do much about it. You can't even fault Spo because, you know, no disrespect to Gabe, it's not like this is Stephen Curry. You know, how many times have we seen a guy make those shots not named Steph Curry? So I think Spo did the right thing calling timeout because we were in our own half. There was like 2 seconds left. You had to drop a play. I think the last look that we got for 1.7 seconds was a Tyler floater, which I thought if he had just put a little bit more power into it, would have gone in because it was a great look. The play was great. The screen was great. He curled off of it really good. We got the shot off right as the clock expired. It was a really good possession, clean look. It just did not go in. So a lot of things did not really go our way that game, but, you know, I still think we'll be all right. I still think we'll be fine. So that was just about Tyler stuff. Bam has been a big talking point as well. Probably just about the regular stuff, him not being aggressive. I'm just gonna say it right now. I don't think Bam is a guy that you give the ball to and he gets a bucket. I don't think he's that player. You know, he was never that player in Kentucky. He did an exceptional job proving a lot of people wrong and surprising a lot of people by jumping up into a good scorer who can average about 15 to 20 points per game. But I don't think Bam is a guy that, he's not like an Embiid or a Jokic or even like a Karl-Anthony Towns as far as offensive skill set. He's not a guy that you give the ball to and he just goes and just gets a bucket and flat out scores the ball. He's not that type of player. And I think a lot of people are looking at his contract and saying because he's a max contract player, he has to be that guy. You know, some players just don't have that. You know, they're not. Just, when you look at Bam, you know, trying to, you know, attack the basket or shoot the ball or, you know, create his own shot, it just does not look as natural and effortless as it does for some other players, which is fine because he's not, you know, a naturally talented scorer. You know, you can tell that some of the moves he makes, it's kind of like fundamentals and rhythms. You know, he's been developed and he had to, you know, work to create some of those shots. He's not like a KD or like a guy who's a bona fide scorer who just gets you buckets. He's a defensive first player who's been developed into a guy who can score the ball. So I'm not expecting Bam to be, you know, a flat out scorer. I know Pat Riley said he might, but I was never expecting that because I don't think Bam is that guy right now. Maybe he can develop into that guy, you know, later in his career. We've seen guys like Kawhi Leonard, because when Kawhi Leonard came into the league, he was not some flat out scorer. You can tell even the moves that Kawhi Leonard makes, you can tell that he was developed into those moves. It's kind of like, you know, he makes some moves, you know what Kawhi's going to do, but you can't stop it because he's kind of like repetition, you know, the fundamentals. And I'm not saying Bam is going to be Kawhi, but it's very similar as to, like, you know, a guy that is not like a naturally talented skilled scorer who's had to work into becoming a 15 to 20 point per game scorer. So I don't think Bam is just that guy yet, but maybe he can be. But that doesn't mean he's not a max player. You don't have to be a bucket to be a max player. Rudy Gobert is a max player, and you know how much he means to the Jazz. So Bam, defensively, he's great. Playmaking, he's great. You know, he's shown a lot of improvement in scoring the ball. I think the only thing that Heat fans want to see more of is the shot attempts. The shot attempts, you cannot be taking the same amount of shots as PJ Tucker. Bam, you have to be taking more shots. You have to attempt more shots. I don't care if you miss shots, take more shots. You know, because when you take more shots, the defense has to respect you. And yeah, man, I just think Bam just has to be more aggressive and looking for a shot. I don't care if he makes them, just look for a shot. You know what I'm saying? And it's like very similar to what we saw from Pascal Siakam. Pascal Siakam, like Bam, was not some bona fide born scorer. He's had to be developed into a guy that you can give the ball to, and he can, sometimes, create his own shot. And we saw Siakam really take advantage of mismatches down low in the post and stuff like that. And I think I'm not saying he's better than Bam. I'm taking Bam over Siakam any day of the week, but I'm just saying, it's kind of like that. But I think just what Bam has to do is just try to hunt for his shot more. Be aggressive. That's the only thing. Just try to take more shots, and you'll be fine. Even though I don't think Bam is some flat out scorer like that, it just gives us another option when Tyler is struggling. When Jimmy, who was really good in regulation, but in overtime could not buy a bucket, was struggling. So yeah, man, it's just another thing. And a lot of people cannot forget that Kyle Lowry is not with the team right now for personal reasons, obviously. So he just sets up Bam very effortlessly, and he makes sure that Bam gets a lot of looks and a lot of open shots. So you're missing a really good playmaker in Lowry to orchestrate the offense and make sure that especially Bam in particular gets really good looks and clean looks that he can deliver. So I think when Lowry comes back, you'll see a different Bam. You'll see a Bam that's taking more shots, that's getting open more. And yeah, I think we'll be good then. I think we'll be good. Last thing we got to talk about is the late game execution, the closing down the stretch. Who should be the closer? It's a very, very interesting debate to have. You know what I'm saying? Like, you can't really go wrong if you want Jimmy to be the closer. You can't go wrong if you want to be Tyler to be the closer. Jimmy, I know his shot percentage in the clutch this season, or since he's joined the Heat, has not been great. But he's still Jimmy buckets. He's done it in the playoffs for us. One of the years. Last year he was not that good in the playoffs, obviously, but in 2020 he was amazing in the playoffs. Hero is obviously getting into that role where he can be the closer for this team at times. He's developing into a all-star caliber player. Bam, like I said, is already an all-star caliber player, but he's showing flashes that he can score the ball. Lowry has the pedigree as well. Who should be the closer of this team? I think it kind of depends. Do you want to be a team that goes to the best player like Jimmy Butler, or do you want to be a team that just goes with the hot hand? And I think the beauty of that is that it doesn't really matter for this team, because I'm comfortable with any of those four taking the last shot. That's the beauty of it, in my opinion. I just think that for me, it's not about who takes the last shot. It's kind of about the late game execution. So the turnovers down the stretch. Hero has been extremely careless with the ball over these past couple of games. Offensively, he's been extremely turnover prone, and it's cost us a lot. And I think that's where we miss Lowry a lot, is when he can just settle down the offense, keep the ball, use it, not turn it over, settle the team down, calm the team down, just get a good rhythm back into the offense whenever he has the ball. That's where we miss Lowry. He's just kind of like a calming influence whenever he has the ball. So I think when he comes back, we'll take care of the ball more. But as far as down the stretch when you need a bucket, I just wish that when Jimmy is just on the court and when he has the ball in his hands, I don't mind Jimmy having the ball in his hands. I just wish that everyone just wouldn't stand and just watch him with the ball. I wish that there would be some action as far as an off the ball screen, some cutting, because we cut a lot during the game, and we cut a lot and we screen a lot during the course of the game. But for some reason during the last play of the game, I don't see a lot of that. I just see a lot of give the ball to Jimmy or give the ball to Tyler or someone like that, and everyone just get out of the way, which is cool. But for guys like the Heat, who don't really have a KD or a Curry, because even Jimmy's not like, we have a lot of guys. Tyler, I think, is the most talented scorer on this team, because I don't think Jimmy is like this. Obviously he's done it in the playoffs in 2020 for us, but he's not like a guy that I think you give the ball to, and if you need any shot, he can get us a bucket, because he's not a three-point shooter. He's a mid-range and in shooter. So I think that we don't have a KD or a Stephen Curry or someone like that. And I don't really mind if Jimmy has the ball in his hands, but I just wish that there was some kind of action as to people off ball screening, cutting, and just getting open so Jimmy can find them for good looks, or even just taking it, to the rack himself and trying to kick it out for an open three. That I would love. But just standing around, isolation, taking a contested shot, like, you're not Kevin Durant. The only person that I've seen that work with is Kevin Durant. When you just everybody just stands around watching, and Kevin Durant just goes to work. And with all due respect to anyone on the Miami Heat, there is no one that is close to Kevin Durant as far as, shot making ability. Like, it's not even a discussion. Kevin Durant is probably one of the best of all time as far as creating a shot. So we don't have a guy like that where you just give the ball to and everyone just gets out of the way. You need off-ball action. You need screening. You need cutting. Because not only do we not have the personnel required for someone to take an isolation, tough, contested jumper, with guys around him, but it just makes the defense guess a lot more. So I think that we need a lot more action down the stretch as far as people moving and people setting screens, flare screens, off-ball screens, cuts, dribble handoffs. Like, I don't really care what it is. Just have some type of movement so that it's not just Jimmy standing around and everyone just looking at him. Because that's just very predictable. You know what I'm saying? So I think that's the only thing that I would change. As far as who takes the last shot, I don't really care. It can be Jimmy. It can be Tyler. It can be Kyle. It can be Bam. As long as it's one of those four, I'm happy. And also, if it's like an open three-point shot for PJ, Strus has been in a slump recently. Duncan was terrible last game, but he's been pretty good overall in these past couple of games. I don't really care who it is. Just get an open shot and get a good shot, and that's all I care about. You know what I'm saying? So that's what I would prioritize as far as who would close the game for us in late game execution. And I think with Kyle Lowry back, you'll see a lot of the Heat's execution late game being better. Trust me, guys, we'll be fine. We're the number one seed still. We're still the best team in the Eastern Conference. I still think we can make a finals run. Do not panic. Do not fret. And I think that's where we're gonna wrap up the video. So make sure y'all drop a like, subscribe, comment down below. I'll see y'all later as always, man. Peace.